First chapter of Science, Class 8, Crop Production and Management. Food is one of the basic necessities of life in all living organisms. It is required for our health, development, and body repair. So the food that we eat is very important for our body. So it develops our body, it gives growth to our body, and it also helps to repair. Repair what? Repair the various parts, the wear and tear that happens in our body. The early human were hunters and food gatherers. They hunted animals and moved from place to place in search of food. So early humans were nomads. They went from one place to another in search of food. Later, they learned to grow plants and turned into food products. After learning the art of food production, they began growing their food and settled in a fertile plain near rivers. So, when they learned how to grow food by utilizing the crops, they settled in a fertile plain near the river. From here, agriculture became an indivisible part of our life. Indivisible part means the part which cannot be divided. So, next is agriculture. Agriculture comes from a Latin word auger, which means field, and colo means cultivate. So the production of crops and raising animals for human benefits is called agriculture. So what is agriculture? Agriculture is the production of crops and raising animals, not only food from crops but also from animals. So raising animals include poultry, fishing and sericulture. What is horticulture? I'm sorry. What is horticulture? Horticulture comes from a Latin word hortus, means garden. And this is the production of vegetables, fruits and ornamental decorative plants. So horticulture is production of fruits, vegetables and ornamental or decorative plants. That is known as horticulture. So as the population grew, the need of food also grew. So as human being multiplied, there was a need for more food. Multiple attempts were made throughout the world to meet the demands and hunger. One of these attempts was known as Green Revolution. So what is Green Revolution? Green Revolution is the attempt to increase the growth of food to meet the hunger of the people or of the population. So next is plants of the same kind grown in one place is called a crop. So any kind of plant, say for example potato plant of the same kind grown on a large scale at one place is known as crop. For example, crop of wheat means that all the plants grown in the field are wheat. The product of cultivated plants is called crop produce. So the outcome of the product from that crop is called crop produce. So we need to prepare the soil before growing seed. So preparation of soil, it involves loosening and turning the soil. Turning means lifting the soil. You have to plough it. You have to lift the soil. So preparation of soil involves two steps, ploughing and leveling. Ploughing means, so it means digging the soil, tilling the soil so that the soil gets loosened. So what is ploughing? Ploughing or loosening and turning the soil is called ploughing or tilling. So another word of ploughing is tilling. So two steps of preparation of soil involves ploughing and leveling. Ploughing, the process of loosening and turning the soil is called ploughing or tilling. This is done by using plough, that is either drawn by the pair of bulls or tractor. So what is a plough? You can see the plough here. So this is a plowshare. This goes into the soil. This is a handle, and this is a plough shaft. So this shaft is put on a bull, and it moves, and this is dug in the soil. It actually digs the mud out, and when it is fixed, we push it. So there's a handle here. So the farmer stands here, the bull stands here, the bull moves the plow in this way, and the farmer pushes with the help of handle. And this is dug into the earth so that the earth is turned. So plow is a tool used for tilling the soil. It has a pointed tip of metal called plowshare and a wooden rod called plow shaft. So the importance of plowing are: number one, loose soil particles have more air space that helps the root of crop plant to breathe better. Now, not only plant breathes through leaves but also through roots. So if the root is waterlogged, then the plant will die. So plow actually helps to put air space in the soil so that the plant can breathe. Second, loose soil particle holds more water for longer duration. This helps the root to absorb more water. So water is actually stored in the soil when it is loosened. Otherwise, the soil will just flow. There's water will just flow. It will not penetrate. So third, loose soil helps root to penetrate deep through the layers of soil. This helps the plant rooted to the soil more firmly. So loose soil allows the root to grow deep, move deep in the soil and make. So loose soil helps the plant to be more firmly rooted in the ground. Loose soil mix well with manure and fertilizer. So it helps the soil to get more fertile. It helps to remove weed. What is weed? Unwanted plants. Weed is unwanted plants from the field. Why should we remove the weed? Because weed takes away the nutrient. Loose soil promotes the growth of useful soil microbes. What are microbes? These are tiny organisms, microscopic organisms, which help to add humus to the soil. What is humus? Humus is basically decomposition of dead animals and plants. While turning the soil through during ploughing, nutrient-rich soil is brought up from lower layers of soil. So the plant can use the nutrients easily. So it's basically through ploughing, the soil is mixed, the nutrients get mixed, lower layer nutrient gets mixed with upper layer nutrients, and the plants on the upper strata will can take the nutrient more easily. After learning ploughing, let us move to the next section is leveling. So after ploughing, the ploughed soil have big lumps of soil. So now with the help of plough, you have ploughed the soil, so now the soil is having a lot of bigger lumps. These lumps need to be crushed before sowing the seed. So big soil chunks need to be crushed. This process of crushing the big lumps of soil and spreading the soil evenly is called leveling. It is done with a wooden or iron leveler. It helps in preventing soil erosion. So, first important point of advantage of soil leveling is it reduces soil erosion. What is soil erosion? Erosion is basically removal of soil with the by agents. What are agents? Like wind, rain, ice. So these can remove the soil from one portion to another. It removes the soil, upper strata of soil, the top soil. This is known as erosion. So it minimizes. What minimizes the erosion? Leveling. It also helps in preventing water logging and water logging during irrigation. What is irrigation? Irrigation is artificial supply of water. So during irrigation, this leveling also helps to prevent water logging. Next, we come to sowing of seed. After soil is prepared, seeds are sown in it. While sowing, following precautionary steps should be observed. Only healthy and clean and disease-free seeds are selected. Seeds should be treated with fungicide, chemicals to kill fungi. So, what is fungicide? The chemicals to kill fungi. Seeds should be sown in right depth. It should not be not too superficial, not too deep. Seeds should be sown at proper spacing so that sufficient air, sunlight, and nutrient is received. So there is a small experiment. We have put the seeds. Some seeds are seen floating on the surface of the water. Some seeds are drowned. These seeds which are drowned are good seed, and those which are floating are not good seeds. They are dead seeds. So there are two methods of sowing seeds. One is traditional, one is modern method. Traditional, modern method. So traditional method are done where seeds are sown by scattering them by hand. It is called broadcasting. So what is bad about broadcast? Broadcasting basically, well, there are a lot of seeds which is wasted. The seeds are just thrown. So a lot of birds come and eat those seeds. It is not germinated. So there is a lot of wasting. It's a traditional method. What does modern method state? In the modern method, seeds are sown using a tractor-driven seed drill. So seed drill is a funnel-shaped seed bowl connected to several tubes. So there is a funnel and there is a bowl. Bowl is a container, and from the container there are several tubes. Small tubes are there and attached. A plough is attached to the tubes. As the tubes put seeds in the soil, the plough covers it with the soil. So seeds are put in the funnel. From the funnel, the seeds are moved and put into the ground with the help of tubes or small pipes. And as the seeds are put into the ground, the plough actually covers the seed with soil. So advantages of modern method of sowing: it sows seeds uniformly at appropriate distance and depth. First, very important, uniformity of seed in appropriate distance and depth. It ensures that seeds are covered with soil after sowing which prevents birds from eating them. So in broadcasting, birds can eat, but in seed drill method, as the seeds are covered with soil, birds are unable to eat. It saves time and labor. It saves the time and labor. Next, transplanting. Seeds of some plants are grown in a nursery. After seedling is grown, the seedlings are manually transferred to the main crop field. So first the seeds are germinated in small nursery, and then small plantlets are put in the main crop field by hand. The process of transferring plantlets from nursery to the crop field is called transplantation. Important. What is transplantation? What is the advantage of transplantation? It helps in selecting and planting only healthy seedling. So those seedling or those germinated plantlets which are healthy are only transferred to the main field. Spacing is controlled because of manual plantation. Spacing is controlled because of manual plantation. So as human beings are actually involved in putting those plantlets in the field, hence spacing is controlled by humans. Plants get sufficient sunlight, nutrients and water. So replenishment of nutrients in the soil. Soil provides necessary or essential mineral nutrients to the crops. So crops actually gives nutrient or food for the crops. Crop plants uses nutrients for their. So continuous growing of crops makes the soil deficient of nutrients, and its fertility also starts falling. So we need to ensure that nutrients are replenished by either natural method or by adding manures and fertilizer. What is manures? Manures are basically the compost which is added to the soil. What are fertilizers? Fertilizers are essential chemicals which are added to the soil. So this is natural, this is man-made. Natural method to restore soil fertility. The fertility of soil is restored naturally by adopting the following methods. First is fallowing. In this method, the land is left uncultivated. Uncultivated land is called fallow for one or more seasons. The fallow land again regains the nutrient through decomposition of remains of plants and animals by action of microbes. So small animals actually decompose the plants and animal remains and add to the fertility of the soil or add to the nutrient in the soil. Second natural method is crop rotation. So crop rotation is the method of growing different crops alternately in the same field. For example, farmers grow crops like wheat or barley in the first year. This is followed by leguminous plants like peas and soya beans in the next season. So in this way, it helps to replenish the soil with nitrogen. So leguminous plant have bacteria called rhizobium, which is present in the root nodules. What is root nodules? Small in the roots there are small bulbs Those are called root nodules. In the leguminous plants, these bacteria, which bacteria? Rhizobium bacteria. Important. Rhizobium bacteria converts atmospheric nitrogen into simpler nitrogen products like nitrates. So atmospheric nitrogen is converted to nitrates with the help of bacteria present in leguminous plants nodules, root nodules that are water soluble and easily absorbed by plant. Next, mixed cropping. In this method, two or more crops are grown together in the same field. The crops are selected such that the nutrient required in one crop is fulfilled by other leguminous crops like peas or soya beans, and cereal crops like wheat, rice can be grown together in the same field. Cotton and groundnut leguminous crops are grown together. So cotton and groundnut are grown together. So next, manure and fertilizer. The use of manure or fertilizers is called manuring. What is manuring? The use of manure or fertilizer. What is manure? Manure is the organic compound such rich in nutrient obtained by decomposition of plant and animals waste by microbes. So natural way of decomposition of plant and animals with the help of microbes is called manure. The most commonly used manure is compost. Compost is prepared by decomposition of farm and domestic organic waste like animal excreta, fecal matters of human being, sewage waste, weeds and dry leaves in a compost pit. What is compost pit? It's a dug hole where weeds, leaves, human waste, animal waste, sewage waste are kept, and and the microbes convert these or decompose these waste into compost, and this compost is called manure. So manure is one of the compost is one of the important. So compost is one of the very important manure. So the process of producing compost is called composting. So what is composting? The process of producing compost is called composting. It may define composting as biological process in which microbes decompose the organic matter. Microbes, I told you that very small microscopic animals, they decompose, they convert the dead animals and plants into essential nutrients. It's called composting. The organic matter present in organic or waste material to produce manure, compost is rich in inorganic nutrients, but some essential nutrients like nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium is not present. Advantage of manure is considered to be a better fertilizer because it enhances water holding capacity in the soil. 2, makes the soil porous. What is porous? Allows water to pass through, which allows exchange of gas and water easily. Gas and water easily it can pass. Water can pass. Air can pass through the soil. Increase in number of soil friendly microbes and improves the texture of the soil. Adds humus to the soil. It is not expensive and easily prepared from waste on the farm. So it is easily prepared. It is not very costly. It does not cause water pollution. Now next, fertilizers. Fertilizers are human-made chemical substances such rich in more nutrients like nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium. What is N? N is a symbol of nitrogen. P is symbol of phosphorus, and potassium, K is the symbol of phosphorus. K is the symbol of potassium. Fertilizer produced in factories. So examples of fertilizers are potash, superphosphate, sodium nitrate. Fertilizers are soluble in water and thus are easily absorbed by plant and increases the crop yield. The certain disadvantages of fertilizers: extensive use of fertilizers greatly increase the crop yield, but when fertilizers get washed off through irrigation and rainfall, they reach the water bodies like rivers and lakes, cause water pollution. Fertilizers are non biodegradable and can cause soil pollution. So when it is drained from field to the water bodies, when fertilizers reach the water bodies, it causes water pollution in the water bodies. It is non-biodegradable. What is non-biodegradable? The microbes will not be helpful to degrade the fertilizer, and it increases soil pollution. So comparison between fertilizer and manures. First is nature. Manure, these are inorganic salts. Fertilizers, these are inorganic salts. Manure, these are natural and organic substances. Second is preparation. Fertilizer prepared in factories, and manure is prepared in fields by the decomposition of animal waste, human waste, and plant residue. Third is humus. Fertilizers do not add humus to the soil. Manures provide lot of humus to the soil. Fourth, amount of nutrients present. Fertilizers are rich in plant nutrients like nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. Manure contains less amount of essential nutrients. Cost. Fertilizer costly. Manure is inexpensive. Example: urea and potash, fertilizer; compost, manure. Next is irrigation. The supply of water to the crop plants at regular intervals through sources other than rain is called irrigation. So it's an artificial way of supply of water, not by rain. Rain is a natural source. It is called irrigation. Irrigation supplies water to the crop. Water helps in the absorption of nutrients and minerals from the soil. Source of water. Water for irrigation is taken from sources like rivers, canals, lakes, and ponds. Water from these sources are delivered to the crop field using irrigation canals. So with the help of irrigation canals, water is taken from various water reservoirs, and with the help of canals it is brought to the field. So modern method of irrigation includes drip system and sprinkler system. So drip system of irrigation supplies water directly to the roots of the plant drop by drop. This method is useful for orchards. There is fruit gardens. Sprinkler system of irrigation sprays the water from the top using sprinklers. This method minimize the rainfall, and the use for watering the cereal crops. So second is water logging. Excessive irrigation causes water to stand in the field. If water is there in the field, it doesn't get absorbed by the soil. It is called water logging. It is very, very harmful for plants. Why? Because the root of the plant cannot breathe and will ultimately die. So next, crop protection. Protection from pests and diseases. What are pests? Pests are organisms that attack and damage crops. These are small organisms. So examples of pests are rodents, these are rats, insects like locust, weevil, termites. These pests can be controlled by pesticides. How are these pests controlled? By using pesticides. Protection from weeds. Unwanted plants that grow along with cultivated crop is called in the field is called weeds. Weeds uses the nutrients and water available in the soil and harm the main crop. Weeds are weeds also compete with the main crop for sunlight, allowing the slowing the growth of the main crop. It's a hindrance. The process of removing weed from the crop field is called weeding. Farmers need to remove the weeds to protect the plant crop. So weed is a nuisance. It is not important. Farmers have to remove. Otherwise, the main crop growth is hindered. The best time for removal of weed is before they produce flowers and seeds. So before the weeds produce flower and seeds, it is to be removed. Why? Because if the seed or flowers are produced by the weeds, then the weeds can reproduce. So before they can do so, it is to be removed. So weeding or removal of weed is done by mechanical method. That is pulling the weed by hand or through plow. So they are also driven. They are also removed by using tractor-driven seed drill, hoe, and harrow. So weeding can be done by chemical method, weed killing chemicals called weedicides. So what are weedicides? Weedicides are chemicals used to kill the weeds, are sprayed on weeds in the field to kill and destroy them. So precautions while spraying weedicide. The spraying of weedicide can affect the health of farmers. There should be taken precautions which are as follows. The farmers should cover their nose and mouth with a piece of cloth before on during spraying of weedicide. Grains should be washed thoroughly before the consumption because weedicide are harmful for our health. Third method is biological method. Insects of some other organisms can consume and destroyed weed plant. So this can be introduced. This is called biological control of weed. Best example of weed control is prickly pear cactus. It is also known as open shear by using cochineal insects. Next comes harvesting. What is harvesting? The process of cutting and gathering the crop after its maturation is called harvesting. It takes 3 or 4 months for the cereal crop to mature. After maturation, It is cut and gathered. Harvesting is done either manually by sickle or by machine called harvester. So machine which cuts the crop is called harvester. After harvesting, the grains are separated from the chaff. Chaff is a plant stem, chaff. The process of separating grain from the chaff is called threshing. It is done manually by striking the crop against the hard surface or by making farm animals trample the crops. A machine called thresher is used for threshing. In large farms, machine called a combine is used. A combine machine performs dual job of harvesting, a harvester for harvesting and thresher for threshing. So it's a combined machine. So combined machine does two jobs, threshing and harvesting. Last is storage. After harvesting, the grains need to be stored for future use. The harvested grains have lot of moisture, so it is to be dried in the sun to reduce the chance of decay. So dried grains are then stored in bags, jute bags or metallic bins and stored. So on commercial purpose, food grains are stored in silos or granaries. So what is silos? Silos are bigger areas of storing food grains. Nowadays, grains are stored in nitrogen-filled silos. Nitrogen gas prevents the growth of microbes, pests, rodents, keeping the grains safer for longer period. Many people use neem leaves and turmeric for keeping the grains microbe free. This method is called organic storage. Next, the steps to increase crop yield: use better crop variety, use better fertilizer and manure, provide better irrigation facilities, suitable methods of crop protection from weeds, pests and disease, and advanced agricultural tools and machines. So now we know more about green revolution. There has been a tremendous increase in the production of wheat crop in India in the last few decades. This is called green revolution. It has made the country self-sufficient in food grains production and improved the economic condition of farmers. So green revolution is brought about by importing by taking high yielding variety. High yielding variety is HYV of wheat from Mexico. So we used to take high yielding variety seed from Mexico. New varieties of wheat with desirable characteristics are developed by cross breeding methods. Besides giving the high yield, the plants were smaller and stronger, and that a better response to fertilizers. Similarly, high yielding varieties of rice, maize, bajra and sugar cane are also developed in Indian scientists through crossbreeding. So through crossbreeding, HYV seeds of rice, maize, bajra, sugarcane are developed by Indian scientists. Food from animals. Apart from crop production, rearing animals is also an agricultural practice. So we have learned in the beginning of the chapter that not only food production but also the rearing of animals, both are known as agricultural practice. The science that deals with breeding, feeding, caring for domestication of animals is called animal husbandry. Important. What is animal husbandry? Animal husbandry is breeding, feeding, and caring for domestic animals. It includes rearing of dem- it includes rearing of different animals for different useful products. So dairy farming. What is dairy farming? Keeping cows and buffaloes for milk. Poultry farming, keeping of hens and ducks for eggs and meat. Pisciculture, rearing of fishes for meat and oil. Apiculture, rearing of honeybees for honey and wax. So this brings the end of the chapter explanation of science, chapter 1 of class 8. In my next video, I will be discussing on the question answers. Thank you very much, and please subscribe and like, share my channel. Thank you so very much.